What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Angry Jackalope Robricks. This is January 11th, 2020. Rob, what's up with the shades, bro? Why do you have the shades on? Well, you got the shades on for a couple reasons. One, I got a fucking migraine right now. It just hit me about maybe 15 minutes ago. Just started slamming right behind this fucking eye. And I know I get them. I know I get my migraines now. And the other thing, too, is I'm not wearing my bottom dentures. No, I'm not. I got tops. They look sexy. My bottom is wrecked. Wrecked. All right, backwoods. Be safe, brother. Be safe. Get well. But yeah, so fuck it. We're gonna go Matrix style. I'm gonna play fucking Morpheus, and I'm gonna have you guys take either the red pill or take the blue pill. It's up to you what you decide to do. I can't force you to choose. I can only allow you the choice. We have a rule. We do not take anyone out of the Matrix prematurely. Only those who are ready. Are you ready? All right, anyway, that bullshit. I wanted to do a real quick little thing for Julian. I wanted to show you that many moons ago, Julian sent this to me. And it's one of my treasured blades, actually. It's one that I will probably never, ever part with because it was a gift from a viewer who became a dear friend. So, yeah, Julian, I still have it. I actually had reworked the leather and got it all nice and protected and shined up and everything else. And so there you go. I just wanted, before the show started, I just wanted Julian to see that. Like I said, I have a little bit of thing here. I actually have it hanging in my my weapons closet. And that's where that's at. Yep. In Trek. Yep. Let's see here. I will go. Yes, you will come with me, Jackalope. You have already been indoctrinated into the Matrix. Loud colors in those jackets, I can understand them. Hey, man. Sometimes you have to have some really bright, loud shit to grab people's attention, and it's part of the Irish in me. It's part of me, Irish colors and Japanese iconography. They resonate with me, brother. What can I say? I can't fucking say much more than that. The colors resonate. I like them. In another life, I would have been a fucking very loud gangster. Anyway, before we get into other heavy duty shit and all this other stuff, I kind of wanted to show you guys, I have some dedicated videos coming out, but since you guys actually sit through the big long show and everything else, you guys are going to get sneak peek on everything that I'm making videos on. First and foremost, one of the key secrets to how I'm able to do a lot of the things that I do, and there is a lot that I juggle. I have experimented with lots of different things like Death Wish coffee, right? So I pound that like nobody's business. But on the flip side of caffeine, I also do a lot with Sneak. And this is a brand new flavor called Blizzard. It is frigging amazing. Me and the son dig this so much that my son said, Dad, can you, tonight, as a matter of fact, he said, Dad, can you not leave this in the office? Can you put it in the pantry so I can get to it easy and I don't have to keep going in your office to get some Sneak? And I said, sure. You don't have to sneak my office to get Sneak, son. I'll put it in the pantry and it'll be there for you. So this one has like a lemon flavor to it. But what I really like about it is it's very sour, strong, good lemon, But I normally don't like it sour because sour tends to linger in my mouth and I don't dig it. But this has a lot of that really good tartness and lemony yumness, and then it blunts out. It just, boom, gone. So I like it a lot. And Sneak doesn't endorse me, sponsor me, fucking. They acknowledge my posts every so often and stuff like that, but they're in no way, shape, or form sponsoring my shit at all. But I do highly recommend Sneak. It works really well, and it tastes great. Another one, and another one, and another one. So last week, I believe, we went through the stuff that Renee had sent me, and I had a neck knife from Masalong. Well, I went researching Masalong a little bit more, and I found another little cost-effective little blade. And this one happens to be just a little karambit, which is really not surprising considering the bulk of what Masalong Knives puts out is karambit-based blades. So this one, though, caught my attention because of its form factor being so teeny tiny and cute. You know, it's like a baby Yoda of fucking karambits. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just like so fucking cute. It's like a little pecker. That came out wrong. That's not at all what I meant. I meant like a little bird, you know, like not a pecker, like, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, and this one's kind of interesting because, like I said, it's a really teeny tiny form factor. So you can see in the hand, it is really a last ditch blade. I mean, this is really, you're scraping bottom and you're fucked. You're not taking out 10,000 fucking ices with this shit, but you might take out the one or two that you need to, you know what I'm saying? Lockup on the sheath is pretty good. There's no shake, rattle, and roll to it. It's your standard Kydex affair. Got 4 little holes in there for you to figure out if you want to neck knife it, lash it to something. It's probably big enough, just barely. Maybe not. No, the way that this is, if you did try to put a tech lock in there, it'd be a little funky, I think. But I don't know. You might be able to. You might be able to find some way to mount this. I've just been fucking throwing it in a pocket. Really, that's what I've been doing. So moving right along, I have some good news. Some very, very good news, at least for me. For a while now, I have been missing what normally sits in here. In fact, it's been missing since July. And that really was breaking my heart because it's my Leatherman Surge. And I was just heartbroken all through the holidays because I just could not find it. I tore my office apart, tore my car apart, tore the house apart. Went completely fucking nuts. And then was on the phone with my daughter saying, hey, still trying to find my damn Leatherman. You guys seen it? And then one of them said, hey, it was under the sink, Dad. I said, no, bullshit. I done looked under all the fucking sinks. So I went and looked in the sink. No, it's not there. She was like, no, wait, you know where it's at? You know where it's at? And then she ran downstairs. And she comes up and she goes, oh. I was like, holy shit. There she is, my baby. Emma. And I was so fucking thrilled. I was mad and happy at the same time. I was mad because I had loaned it to her and she had kept it in the room on the windowsill and forgot about it. And so I was happy though because I finally fucking found it and was able to put it back in this little kit and was like, oh, fucking thank God, right? Thank fucking God. Because I was seriously losing my mind, and it's not a cheap thing to replace. It's not like I just, fuck, I'll buy another one. And no, fuck that. That shit's expensive as fuck. So anyway, I was really happy to get that shit back. Another thing that there will be a video on pretty soon here anyway. I have all of these shot. I just have to edit them. Is a buddy of mine, Colin, had sent me a text message saying, hey, dude, Pops has a limited edition jackalope. To which I was like, what? What? And sure as shit, he was right. So this was beyond a want. I hunt and covet all things jackalope, as you guys well know, and ordered it. It showed up. So that's got a video coming talking about that. And one of the things I want to share with you guys also. What's up, Simicon? Hey, if you guys don't know, Simicon has a new Instagram that he's going to be posting up some of those delicious watch fucking review bits and pieces and pics and shit of his 5,000 watches. So go hunt his ass down and find him on Instagram and give him a follow. Check his shit out. He's a cool motherfucker. Let's see. Is it the original third version or the 2014 redesigned version? I believe it's probably the 2014 redesigned version because I've only had it. I've had it for about 3 years. So, that about 2017 when I got it. So it's probably redesigned. Because when I got it, it was brand spanking new and it's the flat bits. So I think that's the newer one, if I'm not mistaken. And it has like the saw blade that's replaceable and all that jazz. And you'll see it. I did a review on it. A full fucking videos coming out talking about it because I've had it, I've used it, and it's a bit of kit that has survived the test of time. And so I'm kind of grabbing gear and shit like my boots and whatnot, things that I've had since the beginning of the channel for the most part, and kind of revisiting certain items and giving a follow-up to them. And then that way you guys, get to see shit that has not only passed. I think it does have replaceable wire cutters, Garen, because when I looked at the this one, I do have eyeglass screwdriver, but it was an additional that I bought. But Garen, yeah. So up here, there's little hexes to take that out, and also on the other side to take that one out. So these are the wire cutter is replaceable, and also all of these bits right here are replaceable, like the little saw. This one I have a little pouch to have extra blades like this. Let's see, that's just regular. The shears, let's see, and a regular blade. So what's up, Drop Force Survival in the motherfucking house? Yeah, like I said, I'm like 99% sure this is the newer version than the one pre 2014. And to answer your question about the eyeglass stuff, right on this little deal here, those are little eyeglass screws right there, and that's the extra blade that I carry. So all 3 of these I have inside of the pouch of my anniversary tracker. So that's what's inside of this. Now, moving on. You guys see that I do a lot of the tactical stuff, right? So we got, knives, we got flashlights, we got all the other stuff. But one thing that I felt was important to also share with you guys, since a lot of time I work on my phone, and as such, another bit of EDC that I carry with me is this little device right here, which is basically just a keyboard with a touchpad on one side and full keyboard, and I just usually just lay it out on a table wherever I'm at, and it's a lot faster than me screwing around on my phone trying to, I suck. I absolutely suck at texting. I'm like horrible. And a lot of times when I have something going on the phone that is urgent for me to deal with, I need a full-size keyboard, because trying to do something like copy and paste um, with that long hold, then go to copy, it's just fucking nightmare. Fucking nightmare. See, Job Forge. Only reason I carry my Gerber center drive more often, standard size bit. Other than that, I'm a Leatherman junkie. Yeah, I've got a dedicated uh Job Forge. Yes, this would be, it's Bluetooth. So since it's Bluetooth, it will be iOS compatible. I've used something like this with my iPad. So, and it even has, if you look at the keyboard, it has the command key on it. So there's your answer right there. Yeah, it's totally compatible with a Mac. And I got this on Amazon. I can't even. It's been so long. It's got the old stickers that I did way back when. That's how long I've had this. I got this. Yeah, I think I got this right around the beginning of 2018. There you go. Is when I got this. And I think I paid. I don't think I paid more than $24 for it, to be honest with you. So it's a good little kit. It's a good little piece of kit. It has saved my bacon quite a bit. Let's see here. What is this? I saw an interesting question on Cold Steel's Facebook. Asked, what is better for defense blade, plain edge or serrated? Well, the generic fallback answer to that is whatever you have on you. I think that's a pretty interesting question. There's a part of me that thinks being cut with serrations could, by accident anyway, create a nastier secondary cut at an angle, right? So if you're hitting and you slide and moving, straight edge creates such perfectly straight things. Like I'm thinking serrations like, do I have one here? Oh, here's a perfect example, right? So serrations where it's accented enough where there's serration, and then edge. So, as I'm coming back and hitting on this, and I'm hitting the skin, and they're pulling back, I think that serration also gives a chance for snagging and everything else. But yeah, Yak is completely right. Plain is going to be easier to keep sharp and everything else. Serration is always a pain in the ass. But I think I don't know. That would be a real fucking interesting question. Yeah, but see that point right there. Some said serration could get caught in clothing. That's the same thing that I'm thinking about as far as additional rending and tearing of flesh. If you're concerned that it's going to snag on clothing and stuff like that on the person that you're attacking or pulling out of your clothing or whatever, I would imagine the side of flesh, you would have a very similar thing where it would hit, snag, pull, tear, and create really from a wound treatment point of view, probably a nastier cut. Recurve is where it's at. Yeah, I agree. I think really though, the two factors that are going to go into into the wound is angle of attack and power behind it. Those are going to be the two decisive factors that's really going to matter. As far as plain edge or serrated, I think you're just kind of debating, and it's kind of not even really relevant, right? Because if my daughter swings a cut on you and her technique is superior to mine, and she hits you with a really good angle and it goes to bone and cleaves the bone perfectly because of that 21 pounds of pressure followed behind with a perfect executed angle, versus my sloppy cuts but more ferocious and more power behind it, Both of those are going to give you substantially different wound channels. And then if you were to find somebody who had both technique and power, well, then now you're really just talking. It doesn't fucking matter, because that person is just going to take a limb and fuck you up all day, every day. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting question nonetheless, and I think really it comes down to personal preference. Like, most of the blades that I have, I'd say 90% of them, 90% of my blades are just straight. There are no serrations on them. So I don't know. Simple rule: keep a sharp knife on you every day. Practice drills, take classes. Otherwise, it is like flipping a coin regarding your life. Well, keep a sharp knife on you. Yes, I thought you said keep your knife sharp on you. Yeah. Bottom line is, if you don't have your gear on you, fucking what good is it? Why even buy it? I carry a ton of shit on me, and I try to find innovative ways to extend the use. Like, for example, here's one. So you see I got a little bit of jewelry on here, and I even did some color accents on the Chicago screws and whatnot, and those are for aesthetic, and it's also conversation pieces. Somebody says, hey, why do you carry a knife out on the open? Well, I carry it on the open so that way a cop sees it, so he's not saying I have a concealed weapon. And they come up and they ask me a question. Hey, what is that? I always follow with the standard YouTube, bro. I do YouTube, whatever. And they do ask. They ask me all the time. But in addition to the blade, on the backside, I've got a little flashlight. And I just came across these a little while back. I'll turn it so it's not on camera. But see this little button here? It's a little adhesive bit there, and this is my last ditch light. I don't know why. It's not like I'm really afraid of the dark. In fact, when I sleep, I cover my face with extra shit so I'm in more darkness. But the concept of being in the dark with no light is a terrifying concept to me. So, I have lights on all my gear, right? What's up, Bronx? Oh, yeah. Simicon makes a very, very good point. Sometimes, something a lot of people don't realize is how difficult it is to cut through flesh and muscle, not to mention bone. That, there's certain bits of body that are pretty easy to cut. You cut your finger, no big deal. But when you have dense muscle pack and you hit it at the wrong angle, suddenly the muscle seems a lot harder to cut through. But it's all down to the right angles. And of course, for us, when we're doing shit like Yak cut himself in his palm, stropping some shit, and my son, he slit his hand open. He was cutting paper, and he was holding paper and went and just but cuts, it's funny. The human body is weak and strong at the same time. And it's one of those things that defines rhyme or reason. Like, to go up and to stab a person, no problem. Like, if you put enough velocity behind, you come through the cut, you're gonna go. You might nick a rib, you might hit a bone, whatever, and then that's gonna ruin the person's day, because they're gonna see a brilliant flash and they're gonna know they've been stabbed. I've seen people that got stabbed, didn't quite realize they were stabbed. They just felt the dull thud, and the brain didn't realize that they had been shanked. But I've seen some other people that barely got nicked, and they cry like little bitches. But it's always kind of interesting to me, just how interesting the human body is in regards to resilience, as well as being fragile. And I can't help but wonder if some of that is just dog shit luck, but the other part of it is just force of will, right? It's kind of interesting, though. Yeah, the follow through is what counts on cut, stabs, and punches. You don't ever rely on a one hitter quitter. In fact, whenever you do things, you go full relentless. And the funny thing is, a lot of times, especially when you're dealing with knives, um, you go that full bore relentless, you're gonna end up cutting the shit out of yourself too, because gross motor skills go sideways when you hit that black zone and you're sitting there and you're shanking, and it's the equivalent of you just swinging a fucking club. And then so you see a lot of times people who have been in knife fights or have attacked another person, you'll see their own hands cut up, and you'll see even cuts on their own arms where, if they're slashing and they're just not cognitive of their own body parts, and they're just oh yeah, I missed on this one and too much through, and I nicked myself and came back and actually hit and tore a muscle. It's funny. It's funny. It's just one of those things where it's not at all like the movies, most movies anyway. There's some movies that get it right, but like there's some movies that just don't portray it right. Like you'll see a person get shot once and they drop dead, or you see a person get stabbed once and they drop dead, or you know, even a person who's had their throat cut, they don't die instantly. It takes time to bleed out, and of course, if a person is trying to stop it, they're going to slow it a little. But again, it's messy, it's nasty, and it's not what a lot of pop culture puts it out to be, which I guess is a good thing too, because then you're basically watching snuff shit, right? Let's see here. I have been 2 millimeters away from femoral artery, almost lost a finger, cut myself small at least once a week. We are strong, but extremely killable. Maiming is much easier. Yeah, again, I have a friend who was stabbed multiple times. Came through like a champ. Again, it depends. What is the weapon? Where are you being stabbed? If somebody's going to stab me, it's much better to take it in the arms, hands, or whatever than your neck, your chest, your God, not your dick or your balls or your femoral artery or anything else. You don't want anything near those. You want to, if you're gonna chance losing something, a finger, an arm, a hand, or whatever, much easier to treat a hand and arm than it is your neck or your chest. I mean, ideally, you don't want to. And I know my wife's watching this; she's fucking cringing like a motherfucker. But I'm sure at the end of the day, it's really just triage and mitigation, right? Like, one, you don't want to get cut. You don't want to get stabbed. That's a given. Two, if you're going to get stabbed and you get to pick, like I've been stabbed through my hand. I got stabbed. Where's it at? Let me see if I can. I think it's. Which hand is it? It's this hand. I got stabbed through here. It went blat straight through there. Came out on the other side. It fucking sucked really bad, but whatever. And if somebody was like, "Yeah, Rob, I'm gonna stab you in the fucking shoulder. I'm gonna stab you in the hand." Stabbing in the hand is gonna probably hurt a whole lot more because you have a lot more nerve clusters in your fucking hand than any other part of your body. That's why when we get those little cuts on our hands and shit, they hurt like fuck because we have so many nerve clusters in our hand. Here's a fun note for you. You want to torture a person, start with the hands. So many nerves. Anyway, let's see here. Movies. Shot in the toe, dead. Stabbed in the stomach, dead. Choked out in 12 seconds. But in a major car crash, can walk away without a seatbelt. Right. Yeah, that's fucking funny. Yeah. Even I've seen people in car accidents that looked fine. Cars wrecked. They get out. They're walking around, and then they just collapse and die. Internal bleeding. But it's just one of those things, man. It's just kind of crazy. I have a wound that's infected. Have no idea what injured me. Well, you always, if you have that kind of shit happen to you on a regular, you want to check yourself on a daily basis, just to be on the safe side. All I felt was warm blood rushing down my. What did I miss on you, Bronx? Oh, see, yeah, Bronx said I got stabbed and didn't feel it. All I felt was warm blood rushing down my leg. That's exactly my point. Um, it's really funny, man. It's really funny. Like you can look at you can look at all kinds of data from people with different walks of life that have been attacked or had accidents or whatever. Like, I mean, we've all seen the videos where somebody's fucking in the ER and they got a pipe through their fucking head. And I mean, it's like through the fucking head, right? And you're like, dude, there's no fucking way this guy is going to survive. And he does. And then you see somebody that has a routine operation that they do fucking thousands and thousands and thousands of them all the time, and the person just dies, And it's just, that's why I try not to overanalyze and overthink things, because with the nature of the way that I would wager a vast majority of people that watch this particular show, the way we process and think, we're always doing threat assessment. We're always looking at different things. And we're always trying to figure out what's real, what's fake, and blah, blah, blah. And people might look at it and say we're really fucking a morbid group of people. And that's not the case. We're, very optimistically positive people that are just realistic when we look at certain things and want to make sure that this type of thing doesn't happen to friends and family, right? So anyway, Garen says, could have been a snake or spider bite even. Well, depending on where you live, if you got bit by something like a brown recluse, for example, you don't feel those bites. And there's something like a 15% chance of necrosis, which could be bad. The other thing, too, is sometimes you'll get an infection, like a staph infection as an example, and it will present and look like some kind of a bite or something else. And it could have been something as innocuous as a very slight paper cut that had some bacteria in it and caused an infection. So whenever you have an infection, and if you start spiking a fever or anything else, you want to get it checked out, go to an instant care or something else, let them take a look at it. My daughter, we thought she had a bug bite, took her in, come to find out it was not a bug bite, it was indeed a staph infection. So they had to drain it, which she was a soldier about, and then she had to go on some meds, antibiotics, and some other stuff. So anyway, did I have anything else for show and tell? I think that was it for show and tell. I wanted to talk a little bit about Iran and some other stuff. So last week, the first thing I said, let me see here. Yak says, sitting still in the hospital for leg infection with suction machine sucking out infection for 11 days so far. Fucking hell, dude. That sucks. Happened when I was walking the store. Yeah, you could have bumped something, Garen. You could have, bumped something, and that could have given you an infection. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy, actually. So last week we talked about Iran, and the first thing I said was don't freak out and don't overreact like a lot of people were. There was a lot of people that were instantly, oh, this is World War III and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And and look where we are today. Well, let's catch everybody up, shall we? So there was a Ukrainian plane that got shot down coming off of the airport from Iran, to which Iran said over and over, no, it was mechanical. It was a fire on the plane. It was no big deal, right? And then they said finally after 3 days, yeah, we kind of accidentally shot that shit down. To which Ukraine's pissed off about it. Now, during that time, there was also an attack against us at one of our bases. And word is Iran saying they launched a successful attack and bypassed any defenses that we had. U.S. has said it was our early defense that allowed us to say, haha, we see it coming, bitches, and slid out of the way. And there's another group that said military folks in Iran told military folks of the U.S., hey, pull your people out of here. We need to save face and actually come and attack you guys, but we really don't want anybody hurt. We just want to have the perception that we did respond while we let our extremists kind of ratchet down. Okay. Well, the problem is on all three of those examples is no Western people died in that attack, that purported retaliatory attack. Okay. So now there's calls from some of the radical side that they want to take the Ayatollah out. They want him out. They're like, you're a fucking liar. You're a piece of shit. Quit. Get the fuck out of here. So the interesting thing that's starting to happen. So let's back up for a second. So there was this. Oh, we'll talk about Virginia in a second. We'll talk about that in a second too. So while all of that shit was first going down last week, there were these reports, the news was talking about like, ooh, they're trying to get $1 from every Iranian to put a $80 million hit on Trump. And one of the best articles that I saw around that same time that was a rebuttal to that was actually out of Iran. They were talking to some 34-year-old woman. And she was like, it's funny, they want us to all pony up money about this guy and this, that, and everything else. But last week they were beating us in the streets with batons and they were shutting off our internet. So this is the same regime that wants us to back them and everything and do this because their general got whacked. And now they expect us to all rally behind us. So so it's a very interesting thing. There's not just a division here in America between the left and the right. You're seeing divisions in pretty much everywhere right now between, fundamentalists and people that are a little bit more tolerant, a little bit more relaxed, right? So you got like your extremes and your moderates, that are kind of going at it. We see that in the UK. We see that fucking in China. We see that. We're not seeing a whole lot of that right now in Russia per se, because Russia for a long time was in a very, very bad place where you have young women growing up aspiring to be prostitutes because there were no other ambitions to aspire towards. Yeah, Russia is in a really good place now. They have come back out of that really dark hole. Some people said the bear had been hibernating for some time. Yeah, that's fine. You can use that analogy, but Russia was in a really bad spot for a long period of time. So it's kind of interesting to see that Russia, as a unified front, is doing a little better than a lot of other places. And I think some of that has to do with the way that the government is, in some ways, treating their people. You may recall there were times when things were getting a little tense, and Putin was basically getting all the people rallied up and saying, look, shit goes bad. Here's where you're going to go. Here's where you're going to go. And you almost had a sense that that government actually gave a shit about its people. And that is kind of an important thing. If the government takes care of its people and the people feel like they're being taken care of and they're not being taken advantage of and they're not being fucking used, then you will have the support of the people. That's something Iran is now learning the hard way. And even here in America with the division that we have, we still, for the most part, understand that it's funny how some will say Trump's a dictator. If that was the case and he was a true dictator, they wouldn't be saying that because they would be dead, right? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But it's kind of interesting to see the stuff with Iran. Iran proper is kind of developing into a shitstorm for them. Okay, now understand Iran has been dealing for years and years and years and many decades with proxy fronts to attack us. And those proxies do indeed fucking hate us with a passion. So it's not like those attacks are going to stop anytime soon. And I would fully expect those attacks to continue to grow, considering the fact that a general who they did respect and they did like and was in their corner, pushing them, rallying them, helping them to attack us, we took out. So last point I want to make on the general being killed and people freaking out about it and saying Trump, did this. To that, I would rebuttal, well, it was on Obama's watch that they took out Gaddafi. And Gaddafi and Libya had not been engaging in the same types of proxy warfare that Iran is doing, okay? In fact, the only crime that Gaddafi had done recently, not even a crime, but only a move that he was making, was to propose his country coming off of the gold standard, the US dollar standard, the petrodollar, and actually backing it with a gold dinar, or denari. Can't remember which one that is, dinar, denari. And once he was going to come off of that petrodollar, then we basically assassinated him. So for those folks that want to put Trump on a cross and crucify him and say he assassinated unilaterally a general of a sovereign thing, well, fuck. Obama assassinated a leader. Hadn't done anything, had not done a shit when they supposedly were supporting the rebels. And of course, the very first thing the rebels did once they took control of Libya was to open a Western bank, because at that time there was no Western banks inside of Libya. There was no money from the Western banks coming into Libya at that time. Anyway, go look that up. There's some nice conspiracy stuff for you. Now, this Virginia stuff is really becoming a very nasty situation. Almost the entire state of Virginia now is a quote unquote sanctuary city. Like, there are so many sanctuary cities inside of Virginia that it almost boggles the mind to go, wait a minute, now your elected leaders are the ones that are saying they want to go for guns and they want to do this and they want to do that, but they're not listening to the fucking people, because obviously the people want to keep their guns. Otherwise, there would be no sanctuary cities in your own fucking state, and there wouldn't be so many of them. But this is becoming a potential powder keg. And Virginia, recently, the leaders got together and started to push more. Not only did they want to push the shit that's already fucking retarded, they wanted to do some additional shit. And I'm just like, dude. So, I'm not a big fan of the NRA. I am a fan of the Second Amendment. I support my right to carry a gun, and I think it's a God-given right to protect your family, and and it's in the Constitution, and all of these laws that you're passing are all unconstitutional, because you don't get any more simple than shall not be infringed. But they are still trying their best to limit and control. And the biggest fucking thing that just blows, it's not about safety, it's not about stopping terrorism or crime or criminals, because what they're not getting in their fucking thick skulls. If you look at the FBI gun statistics, the states that have the most free gun legislation, meaning you can get guns easily, you don't have to worry about a bunch of these bullshit, you can only have 9 bullets in the magazine, blah, 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 blah. The states that have the highest gun carrying population has the least amount of crime. The states that have the most gun crimes have most of the gun laws. The evidence is there to show their bullshit laws don't work for one very fucking specific reason. Criminals do not follow the law. It's really simple. And for any anomalistic thing that they point out, well, this guy legally got a gun and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, if he's not MK Ultra and he's not some government fucking plant bullshit story, whatever, yeah, great. Kudos, you found one fucking nut job. Okay. But if you look at the vast majority of gun crimes which are committed with pistols, not long rifles, then you'll see it's by criminals, gangbangers, people like that don't buy guns legally in the first place. They don't submit to background checks. They don't get a concealed carry permit where you have somebody crawling up your asshole every single day to verify that you are not a criminal. It's about control. So much easier to control an unarmed citizenry. Yes, that is exactly the agenda. And the fact that these pompous assholes who are guarded by security guards with guns, and their families are protected by people with guns, would go as far as to say, well, we'll shut off your power and we'll come in and kill you. It's like, wow, really? That's a tyrannical government that we need our guns in the first place to protect ourselves from you, dickhead. I don't need necessarily the gun to, worry about Trump and, the executive branch or Nancy Pelosi or any of these other fucking yahoos, right? But when you have some dickhead who is passing laws and saying, we don't give a fuck what you say, we're going to come and take your shit even if we got to kill you. All right, well, that sounds like a fucking crazy person. That's a nut. That's an insane person. That's not what a sane person would say. A sane person would say, listen, I feel, me personally, that guns at any level in the society is a detrimental thing. And my goal is to remove all guns, not just guns from you, but also guns from criminals. And, you're going to see laws that come from me that will help deter the criminal from wanting to get guns, such as a one-strike rule. If you are caught committing a crime with a gun, you instantly get life in prison, right? You get it. There's no chance of you getting paroled or anything else. You're getting life. You're in prison forever if you commit a crime and you have a gun. And we will put this on every billboard. We will put this on every video game. We will put this in every fucking place on the planet for you to see, so you don't say, Dad, I didn't know if I did this with a gun that I'd be in so much trouble, right? Then now you have a criminal group that's like, shit, dude, fuck. Maybe I'll just bring a knife and rob a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Because, I have friends that have gone to jail and they laugh about it. And they say, this is a badge of honor for me in the hood. Shit, nigga, I'll fucking go do this and fucking do this. And I'll come out, now I'm fucking kingpin, bitch. Like, I got respect and I'm doing this, that, and everything else. Okay, let me cut off your balls. What? Yeah, you got caught doing that. We're going to castrate you. You're going to cut off your balls. You're going to cut my balls off? Yep. Fuck, maybe I'm not going to do this no more. You got to make, if you're being serious about shit, you got to make the punishment match. You know what I mean? Almost go biblical. Somebody does a drive-by and they shoot a kid, fuck, go shoot that kid. I know that sounded fucking horrible. But until you start to do shit where it makes it more painful a proposition to commit a crime, there you go. And the other problem is you're dealing with a lot of inner city cats. They don't give a fuck. They don't. They don't care if they live or die. So, you know, it don't really matter to them. So you almost have to find things that matter from them and take it from them, you know. But anyway, oh, Beto, that dude's a fucking idiot. Admitted live on air in the debates he wanted to take your AR-15 and AK. Man, they want to take everything. You know, that's what they say. But if you look, when Obama was around and there was all these talk of taking guns and everything else, shit, Obama should have got a commission for all those gun sales because he was the salesman of the fucking year. You know what I mean? Every time Obama was talking about taking guns, motherfuckers went out and bought 2 of them. So I've always felt personally that this talk of gun grabs and everything else has always been a two-staged effort. On one, they would very much like to be able to grab the guns from the Americans, but there's no fucking way. It's in our DNA. No one's going to give up their guns. I don't give a fuck. You know, but they did show with Katrina, you could take a vast majority of the guns from a population in the right situations, because they did. They went door to door, and when you're facing down a barrel of a fucking AR-15 from a National Guard guy saying, "Give us your fucking gun, or we're gonna blow your fucking head off," and he's got you dead to rights, there was no way to, you know, you answer the door because you're looking for help. you were kind of fucked in that scenario, right? But I've always felt, and I've said it on this channel many a times, the better strategy is to let the society undesirables, us, load up with as much guns and ammo as possible, shut off the lights and the power, and step back for 6 months and wait and watch what happens. Because you would see 90% of the population disappear almost overnight in that scenario. And then 6 months later, you'd have small clusters of groups to deal with, as opposed to the vast majority of the American population. Instead of 320 million people to deal with, you'd probably only have, you know, maybe 3 million. And out of that 3 million, they would be so clustered up and so fundamentally broken that if you said, "Hey, we got Mocha Frappuccinos again and Dancing with Stars," motherfuckers at that point would happily, you know, half of them anyway, would give up their guns for the chance to go back to the way things were. And then the other half would be a nice targetable cluster group that you could go in and drone strike out and not even worry about. As opposed to, "Hey, yeah, let's start with Virginia. We're going to take their guns and then try to go to neighboring states." They might get one state. And after you get that one state and everybody's like, "Oh, fuck no," then there's going to be somebody that's going to fight back, and that is going to be civil war. And I think part of that is kind of what they want. But if you look at agendas, Agenda 21 and some of these other agendas, and you look at the Georgia Guidestones, you know, you look at a number I just gave you, that fits pretty firmly in line with those agendas. And it'd be just a very simple process of just flipping off the lights. Once they turn off the power and the lights, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare scenario. And part of me was thinking a lot of this shit with Iran was lining it up, because what did we hear over and over and over? Well, Iran and their cyber attack capabilities could hit our critical infrastructure. And I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. They hit a fucking library purportedly, which probably wasn't even them. But I definitely think the strategy, the kill strategy, if it were me and I want to do the most damage, I would just temporarily target the critical infrastructure of power and lights. Shut it off. Done. You know what I mean? Don't forget what they did in Boston, house to house, warrantless search at gunpoint, de facto martial law. Yeah. Again, though, if you stop and think from a logistical point of view, they don't have enough people to do that. Those two examples that we just talked about, Katrina and Boston, both of those had extreme circumstances that normally you wouldn't have to piggyback on. One was the Boston bombing, very visible. A lot of people were kind of shell shocked, and a lot of people were really mad, and they were like, fuck it, go door to door, kick my door, and fuck yeah, come on, look at my fucking house. People were down. They were like, nothing like fear and anger mixed together to get people to become completely irrational, non-thinking animals, right? And then in the case of Katrina, motherfuckers were desperate. Some people were scared, and there was looting and other stuff going on, and they were hoping to get some semblance of civility and law back in order. So when they saw National Guard, they were actually pretty happy until they opened the door and they said, give up all your fucking guns. And the guys asked simple questions like, fine, I'm happy to give up my guns if you're going to keep everything here safe, but can I get a receipt? And they were told, nope, no fucking receipts. And so their guns got took, and some of those people never got them back. And some of those guns were like family heirlooms that they had for generations and generations. It was a tragedy. But again, these were examples of things that happened in our society that the general population just did not give a flying fuck about. Us, the fringe conspiracy nuts, yeah, we pay attention to this shit. We watch it. Because again, we're threat assessing. We're seeing what is a possibility of this happening. Now, do I think there would ever be a situation where they can come and take all of our guns? No, I don't. No, I can't imagine a scenario where that would work. Not in America. I just can't see it. I don't care how big a tragedy. I don't care how big a situation. I think even if there was some weird disease that every time somebody pulled a trigger, one of their testicles fell off, I think somebody would still say, fine, one of my testicles fell off, but I'm still going to keep this gun because I'd rather lose my balls than have my family get killed. You know what I mean? So, I just can't see them ever getting rid of guns. Not in America. If America falls and it becomes something else, maybe 2 or 3 more generations of a snowflake mentality, yeah, maybe then. If they keep with the indoctrination that they're doing right now, and they keep the idiocracy, constantly rising, and we get old and we die. We're like the last bastion of the fucking old guard, and we fucking die, and it's a fucking shit ton of fucking snowflakes running shit. Oh well, I'm dead. I got nothing to say about it at that point. Yeah, when Christopher Adorno was running around Southern California, he had every cop shitting their pants. Yeah, because he challenged the whole concept of, law and order, and he understood their techniques, and having one of your own suddenly turning on you and knowing your playbook, knowing what you're going to do. It wasn't a TV show, it wasn't a movie, it was real life. And a lot of times cops aren't super well trained with guns, as was evident when they shot up those were they Asian ladies or Mexican ladies? They shot the shit up out of their car. They thought he was in it, and they shot the fucking thing like 60 times or something and didn't hit nobody. Anyway, I can't make this shit up. That shit is all historical. You can go look at that shit. You know what I mean? That's the reason I keep my guns. I trained with my guns. I took extra training with my guns. I have scenarios that we plan for. I keep guns in strategic locations. My family is somewhat familiar with guns. Some of them are trained. Some just choose they don't like guns, so they don't fuck with them. But I am more confident in me protecting my family than waiting the average 9 minutes for a cop to show up to make a decision if he wants to intervene or not. Because there's nothing legally that says he has to do anything. You know what I'm saying? It says, yeah, the newspaper delivered women in a truck that no way matched description of Adorno's truck. Anyone who has documentation showing connection between socialism, communism, fascism, Nazism. Keep that safe. Anyone has documentation? Yeah, you better keep that shit not just safe, but encrypted and hidden away. It's getting to the point now where even having academic information about something can get you in trouble. The landscape is shifting so drastically that even having conversations like this, frank, honest conversation, assessment of different things, could get somebody in trouble. You know what I mean? But anyway. All right, guys, that's the show. We've been here for an hour. And my head still hurts. So I'm going to end this now. We will be doing the real-time story time tomorrow. And we'll continue the poop train and have a good time with it and everything else. But for now, we're done. I have a bunch of videos. Those will be popping out. You'll be able to check those out. Quick, hey, how you doing, brother? You know, I'm hanging in. I found out. I went and saw a specialist, and I have a whole video I'm going to drop on it. But I found a specialist, and long story short, found out my inner ears don't work at all. So my eyes overcompensate to give me balance and everything else, and so that's why I have so many bad headaches. It's because my eyes are constantly working. But anyway, there'll be videos coming out. You guys will see those sprinkled throughout the next week or two. I'm going to start putting out more content on a regular basis, as well as a channel update and things of that nature. But that is that for now. So if you like it, please subscribe, tell your friends far and wide. Until next time, motherfuckers, please be good to yourself, good to each other, go out and live life to the fullest, ride the bus till the wheels fall off, get some scars, have some adventures, find some love, and all that jazz. And I will see you motherfuckers next time.